Shabbat Shalom. Page 128. Hine ma tovu manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Shabbat Shalom on this Labor Day weekend. I'm Rabbi Michael Feshbach. Welcome to all of you, our regulars, our members, those who are here with us for the first time. We have at our synagogue this coming year a cantor who will be with us 3 times a month approximately, a cantorial soloist who will be with us once a month approximately, a high holiday cantorial soloist who will be with us for the high holidays, and occasionally Italia, none of whom are here tonight. Which means that it is just all of us together to lift our voices in song and spirit. And for those of you who have not have heard me say this before, I apologize. To those of you who have not, I sing with far more enthusiasm than talent, so I am counting on all of you to join together. Kabbalat Shabbat, the psalms and songs with which we welcome Shabbat. We begin on page 130 with Psalm 95. It sort of morphs right into page 131, Psalm 96. The words that we will sing in Hebrew from the first paragraph of both psalms mean, "Come, let us sing joyously to Adonai and sing unto God a new song." Lechu Ranana on 130 and Shiru Adonai Shir Hadash on 131. Lechu Neranena, Lechu Neranena, Lechu Neranena Adonai, Lechu Neranena, Lechu Neranena, Lechu Neranena Adonai. Naria, Naria, Letzor Yishenu, Nekad Mafanav V'todah. Naria, Naria, Letzor Yishenu, Bizmira Naria Lo. Lechu Neranena, Lechu Neranena, Lechu Neranena Adonai, Lechu Neranena, Lechu Neranena, Lechu Neranena Adonai. Shiru Adonai, Shiru Shir Hadash, Shiru Adonai, Kol Haaretz, Shiru Adonai, Shiru Shir Hadash, Shiru Adonai, Kol Haaretz, Shiru Adonai, Baruchu Shemo, Basru Yom Yeshuato, Shiru Adonai, Baruchu Shemo, Basru Yom Yeshuato. Lechu Neranena, Lechu Neranena, Lechu Neranena Adonai, Lechu Neranena, Lechu Neranena, Lechu Neranena Adonai. By the way, when I announce page numbers in this slim book, we are referring to the page numbers in the brackets. It's a long story. So page 135 in the brackets, the last paragraph from Psalm 99 as it appears here, the meaning, exalt Adonai our God and bow toward God's holy hill. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu והשתחוו להר קודשו. רוממו אדוננו והשתחוו להר קודשו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו. And pages 138 and 139 from Achad Odi, stanzas 1, 2, 5, and 9. And when we reach stanza 9, not yet, but when we reach stanza 9, we will say, please rise, and we turn towards the entrance to symbolically have Susan open the door, as she's doing now, symbolically welcome Shabbat into our lives. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat likrat kala, penei penei Shabbat Kabbalat. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat likrat kala, penei penei Shabbat Kabbalat. Shamor v'zachor v'dibor echad, Hishmiyanu el hamiuchad, Adonai L'shem u'tiferet v'liti la 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 chadoti likrat likrat kala penei penei Shabbat Kabbalat. Lecha lecha dodi likrat likrat kala penei penei Shabbat Kabbalat. Likrat Shabbat, likrat Shabbat lechu v'necha ki mekor Sof ma'aseh b'machshava tchila la 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 chadoti likrat likrat kala penei penei Shabbat Kabbalat. Lecha lecha dodi likrat likrat kala penei penei Shabbat Kabbalat. Page 139. Hit orali ki ma'orei kumi uri 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 shivtameri kevod Adonai alayik la 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 chadoti likrat likrat kala penei penei Shabbat Kabbalat. Lecha lecha dodi likrat likrat kala penei penei Shabbat Kabbalat. Holy v'shalom ater b'alah gam b'simcha u'b'tzolah tov emunei am segula. Holy halal la 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 chadoti likrat likrat kala penei penei Shabbat Kabbalat. Lecha lecha dodi likrat likrat kala penei penei Shabbat Kabbalat. So some of you may be here for the weekend, some of you may be here for the decade, but for those of you who are here for the sand and the sea, this last week of season, this is our third summer here. We've just finished 2 years, but I am reliably told that for many locals, September is their favorite month. It's the shoulder season. But Labor Day weekend is the end of the season, as it were, and so to honor that, the bottom of page 141, the last paragraph, the non-indented paragraph, from Psalm 93, the English together. The ocean sounds Adonai, the ocean sounds its thunder, The ocean sounds its pounding. Above the thunder of the mighty waters, more majestic than the breakers of the sea is Adonai, majestic on high. Your decrees are indeed enduring. Holiness befits your house, Adonai, for all times. Shalom Aleichem, 142. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Waking from his sleep, Jacob said, "Truly Adonai is in this place, and I did not know it." He was awestruck and said, "How awe-inspiring is this place! This is none other than the house of God, and this is the gate of heaven." The poem on 145, then we will go back to 144. Teach me, O God, a blessing, a prayer, on the mystery of a withered leaf, on ripened fruit so fair, on the freedom to see, to sense, to breathe, to know, to hope, to despair. Teach my lips a blessing, a hymn of praise, as each morning and night you renew your days, lest my day be today as the one before. Hetzi 144, we rise and we face Jerusalem. Yitgadal v'yitgada shemei Abba, v'yamad yifrach gerutei v'yamlit malchutei, v'chayei chol v'yomechon, u'chayei nechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala, ba'agala, u'v'yizman kari, v'meru, amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevorach, le'olam lo me'amaya, yitparach v'yishtabach, v'char v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitatar v'yitaleh v'yitalach, shmei kedusha le'elam mikol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, ta'amihera me'alma v'meru. Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam. Va'ed 149. On the top, we face each other, but remain standing. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, HaMa'ariv HaRavim. Bottom of 150. Everlasting love, you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and Mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up. We will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves you. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Please be seated. Ve'afta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha. Ve'hayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi nitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibartam b'shivtecha b'beitecha u'v'lechtecha b'derech u'b'shortecha u'v'kunecha u'b'shartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu l'tofafot b'neinecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'v'yisharecha למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני 157. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, the promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching. Mi chamocha ba'edim Adonai, mi chamocha nehedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osei felech, nora tehilot osei felech, malchutecha ra'u banecha, okei ayom lifnei Moshe. Daily anu ve'amu, Adonai Ilo, Adonai Ilo, Amar kifed Adonai et Yaakov, u'kalo me'ad chazak mimenu, Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. Bottom of 161. Give us a place to rest, Adonai our God. Bring us into shelter in the soft, long evening shadows of your truth. For with you are true protection and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us the shelter of your peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, va'al Yerushalayim. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם בברית עולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת Shabbat לדורותם בריבית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם לברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם לברית עולם. We are a people who believes. We are a people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus lasted a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time. Page 164, we rise for the Amidah and we face east. Adonai sefatah tiftach ufiyah v'tehillateka. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor, Ha'anoga, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezocher Chasdei Avot Limamot, Umevit Gula Livnei Bneihem, L'ma'an Shmo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham v'Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayah kol atah Rav L'Hoshia, Mashprit atah. Mechalkel chayim v'chesed, Mechayeh hakol v'rachamim rabim. Somek noflim v'nofeh olim, umatir asurim, umekayem emunato, lishenei afar, michamocha b'gilugot, umidom elav, melech memit umechayeh, umasmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman atah l'chayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh, v'shimcha kadosh, kadoshim b'chol yom ya'amru k'asela. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. Daily personal prayer. I'm going to read softly on 177. You may join me if you would like. When we behold your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and stars that you set in place. What are we humans that you are mindful of us? We mortals that you take note of us. You made us little less than divine, adorned us with glory and majesty. You gave us dominion over your handiwork, laying the world at our feet. How majestic is your name throughout the earth. seated. Page 180. Ohose shalom b'mroma, u'yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Mishaberach avotenu Avraham, Yitzchak, v'Yaakov, v'imotenu Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, v'Leah, v'yivarech v'yirapeh et hacholim ha'ela. O God, who blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah, send your blessing and healing, your comfort and hope to the following of our friends: Harry Martyr, Jill Wood, Cynthia Baylor, David Wetzel, Sonia Kaplan, Rabbi Bradley Bliefeld, Rich Belkin, Tom Adams, Janet Adams. Any other names in the prayer for healing those who are ill and in need of our attention?
Eileen Fidalnik.
Linda.
Carol Tolman.
Connie Gills.
Debbie Fishman and my friend Brenda.
Nina Jordan.
Bill Stefan, Dayton James, Joe Stevens.
Cheryl Chua.
Gordon Barry, Joe. Susan, John.
Kelly Chambers. Jennifer.
Mike Woodhead.
Baruch atah Adonai rofei hacholim. We praise you, O God, who helps us heal. Normally we sing that, but because I would be leading the singing, I don't want to make people who are ill worse.
We can all sing.
Well, this is Shabbat Mevarchim Chodesh Elul. What that means is that during the coming week, it is Rosh Chodesh Elul. I say that along with every rabbi and cantor in the world with a great deal of trepidation, because Rosh Chodesh Elul is the beginning of the new month, that is 1 month before Rosh Hashanah. And none of us, I would imagine, are ready. Who could possibly be ready for the High Holy Days this year? Not only do the themes of these holy days speak to us in new ways that perhaps they never have before, but also, and in addition to that, it is literally the case that October the 7th falls on the 10 days of judgment in between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. You will hear shortly of some of our community's own observances on the evening of October 6th, Sunday, October 6th, and the morning of October 7th. But when we look around the world and when we look inside ourselves, certainly the world needs healing. Certainly, speaking only for myself, at least I need healing. One of the great themes of this season, which truly begins with the beginning of Elul this coming week, is the idea, flimsy as it may be, elusive and evasive, it is a hint of hope that things might get better. And that is actually the theme I would like to explore with you tonight, because I believe, and this is a radical idea, and I've never quite been able to publish this is partially original. Some of you in Torah study have heard me explore this before. I believe that the idea that things can get better is one of the most important ideas in world history, and I believe that the way that hope manifests in Judaism and then Christianity and then Islam may have been an accident. what I mean by this, and let me step back for a moment. If I were Jovian, that is somebody from Jupiter, not jovial. If I were somebody from Jupiter and I was coming and looking at the earth, I would think that I would be unable to see the differences between Judaism and Christianity, maybe even Islam. They would just, from a distance, they would look very far, from very far away, they would look very similar. Tonight I'm actually going to explore one of the main ways in which Judaism and Christianity may be different from one another, or more to the point, I'm going to be equally offensive to everybody when I say that I think one of the most important ideas in world history may have been an accident. So what is that idea? It is the hope of things getting better, or more specifically, it is the idea in both Judaism and Christianity of a Messiah yet to come in Judaism, a Messiah who has to come back to finish the job in Christianity. By the way, in the 1950s, there was a story told of a rabbi and a priest who were close friends. This was before Nostra Aetate, and you know that we've made more progress in Jewish-Christian relations, Jewish-Catholic, Jewish-Protestant, more progress in the last 60 years than in the 2,000 years before then. So things are manifestly better in so many ways. But in the 1950s, in this small town where the rabbi and the priest were friendly with each other, the townspeople said to them, "How can you talk to? Don't you have basic disagreements?" And the rabbi and the priest said, "Look, when the Messiah comes, we'll just have one question. So, are you new in town, or is this a return visit?" So setting that aside, at its core, the Hebrew Bible is about one concept. That concept is called a brit. A brit is a covenant. You sometimes refer to what we do to a baby boy as a bris, but that just means covenant. Brit milah, the word milah is the surgery part. A brit is a covenant. It is an agreement, a pact between two parties. Now, there can be different kinds of covenants. By the way, interestingly enough, if you take a New Testament, a Christian New Testament, and translate it into Hebrew, which some people have gotten arrested for passing out in the wrong places in Israel, but that's besides the point. If you translate the New Testament into Hebrew, the term that they use for it is Brit Chadasha, a new covenant. Correctly estimating that the core concept of the Hebrew Bible is the concept of covenant. Now, you can have two different kinds of covenants. You can have a conditional covenant. What is that? What would a conditional covenant be? If you do this, I'll do that. Exactly. Or you can have an unconditional covenant, which is, here, I'm doing this, right? You get this. I'm going to give you two examples that I think are pre-Jewish, pre-Israelite. And I say that because, according to our tradition, really the first Jew was Abraham, right? Some people would say Moses, lawgiver, but Abraham is the first Jew. That means Noah wasn't Jewish. He was pre-Jewish. He was Noahish. He was whatever. Adam was Adamish. There just wasn't a formal religion at the time yet in the same sense. Judaism, as it is, or Israelite religion, begins with Abraham. So two examples from before Abraham and Moses. Example number one, the covenant of Adam. The covenant of Adam. Don't eat of this tree. Here's a garden if you don't eat of this tree. What kind of covenant is that? Conditional, right? They ate of the tree, they lost the garden, right? The other example of an unconditional covenant is the covenant of Noah. After God does what God does, the Epic of Gilgamesh certainly indicates there was a huge flood at one point. God says, I'm not going to destroy the world again by water. Didn't say by other means, right? And here's a rainbow. The rainbow is a sign of the covenant, but it's not a condition. That's an unconditional covenant. So everyone clear on the differences between the two? Okay. Now, we are now going to step into 3 other covenants, one of which really takes expression beginning with this week's Torah portion, which is why I'm talking about this week. The next major covenant we encounter, starting with Genesis chapter 12, is the covenant of Abraham. And God says to Abraham, I am going to give this land to you and your descendants forever. Now, there's a sign of that covenant, only for boys. Abraham did it at 99 years old. All the rest of us, except for those who did this later in life, did this at 8 days, right? But the sign is not the most important part. That's just the sign of the covenant. I'm going to give you this land. You have a claim to this land forever. What kind of covenant is that? Unconditional. We have an eternal claim to the land. The next covenant, it is manifestly clear in the book of Leviticus, but its clearest expression in the Hebrew Bible begins with Parshat Re'eh, this week's Torah portion. It goes from the end of chapter 11, really chapter 12 of Deuteronomy, through about chapter 25 of the book of Deuteronomy, and it is very clear, again and again and again, the covenant of Moses. If you follow the laws of your God, you will dwell in peace on this land. What kind of covenant is that? Conditional, that's right. That's a conditional covenant. Okay? One more twist before we go. This is beyond the Bible. It is beyond the Torah. It is in the parts of the Bible that are not the Torah. This comes from the books of the prophets. But as you know, the Hebrew Bible is divided into 3 parts. The Torah, the first 5 books. How do you remember the order in English? G-E, lights never die. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. What's my problem with when I teach kids this? GE is not making light bulbs anymore, and they don't know what I'm talking about. So I got to come up with something new, right? But that's the Torah. It lives in a scroll in the ark, right? The next part of the Hebrew Bible is the prophets, and then the third part is the writings. So from the prophets, there is the third great covenant of the Hebrew Bible. It is the covenant with David. And here, despite some misbehavior and ups and downs on David's part, eventually God says to David, you and your descendants will rule this people forever. Conditional or unconditional? Unconditional. Now, you can say that God knew what God was doing, and certainly from an Orthodox point of view, from a fundamentalist Christian point of view, that would be how you would treat this, that all of this was planned. Me personally, based on my study of history, based on my exploration of how I think the Bible came to be, I think that these developed independently of each other. What happens, however, when you make a covenant cocktail? What happens when you put all 3 of these ideas together? We have an eternal claim to the land. Which covenant was that? Abraham. Thank you for remembering. Didn't put you all to sleep. Covenant of Abraham. We have an eternal claim on the land. Whether we get to use that claim or not, however, we have an eternal claim to the land, but whether we get to actually live there depends on our behavior. Which covenant is that? That's the covenant of Moses. And then, what happens? Let's imagine a situation in which we have an eternal claim to the land, But we don't always get to use it, which means there will come a time that, based on our behavior, that's a whole separate topic. I don't want to go into that now. I'm not sure that I accept this part of the idea, but the tradition claims that based on our behavior, in an Orthodox prayer book you say to this day, because of our sins we were exiled from our land. I think it's because our army wasn't strong enough, and therefore our army should be strong, but that's a different issue. Stephen and I would agree on that, right? So, based on our behavior, the tradition claims, there will become a time when we no longer are on the land. That, however, leaves one family out of work. What family is that? The descendants of David. Well, if their role, they're going to have a claim to rule us forever, and we're not in the land, their job description changes. What then would their job description be? Well, in order to rule us in our land, what has to happen? We have to have the land. That means somebody needs to do something. Who's the somebody? The descendant of David. Ladies and gentlemen, in my opinion, shh, don't tell. What I'm about to say could be deeply offensive to either very Orthodox Jews or believing Christians. I believe that that is the original job description and maybe even the origin of the concept of the Messiah. The idea of a leader who is a descendant of David who will take us back from exile back to our land. That's it. That's the original job description of the Messiah. As time goes on, more ideas get put onto this concept. That you won't need a barrier in a zoo because why? The lion will lie down with the lamb, right? That the weather will be always the way it is in San Diego. That, we'll beat our swords into plowshares and there won't even need, right? All of these other concepts about the end of history, a world at peace, humanity transformed, all of those other concepts that we, in Judaism and in Christianity, that we associate with the Messiah, they're all secondary historically. The original job description of the Messiah was a leader of our people, a descendant of David who will lead us back to our land. I believe that concept emerged organically, but as an accident out of three unrelated concepts. Of course, you can easily respond to me in the following. And you don't need to be a fundamentalist to say, are you sure it was an accident? I leave you with that. Shabbat shalom. Linda, we might as well have you now. Earlier than usual. Come on up.
Shabbat shalom
Shabbat shalom.
to everybody that's with us tonight here and to everybody that is watching from home. I know that we have some guests with us this evening, and we want to especially welcome you and tell you how happy we are to share Shabbat with you. I am Linda Karp, president of the congregation, and so again, I welcome you if you are not a member, and if you are members, I'm always happy to see you. Following services, for those that are new and don't know, we will go down the steps to the Weiss lobby where we will have candles and Kiddush, so please join us there following the service. There is no Shabbat morning study during August, so I guess that will start again
Next, a week from tomorrow.
a week from tomorrow. Shabbat services next Friday night will be at 5:30. And Sunday school will open on September the 8th. Everybody should mark their calendars for Beth Israel's Community Harvest Festival. This is our second year, and there are all kinds of new things that will happen this year. The festival is here September 22nd. It's Sunday. It will be outside from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. There will be food trucks, music, a bounce house, beer, cocktail garden, a petting zoo. I know there's an apple crisp bake-off, and I'm sure there are other things that I don't have listed on here. It will be a
Big
fun
screen for the
day.
Eagles game.
The what?
Big screen for the
Big
Eagles
screen
game.
for the Eagles game. You're right about that. And probably lots of other things. Again, Sunday, September the 22nd. I think that is it. So with that, I wish everybody is safe. Happy Labor Day weekend, although as Rabbi has mentioned, to those of us, the locals that like the beach, it's the end of summer, but we're getting rid of all those. Yeah, they're going back to Philly, not to Florida yet. We're getting our parking back, especially in that. So have a nice holiday weekend.
I don't want to be scary, but I will add something about Friday the 13th, that we are having a special service here, a back to, a welcome back Shabbat, which will include a joyous, upbeat service, and although they all are, and a Shabbat dinner, brownies, sundaes, games, and on this occasion, we can't afford to do this always or even often, but on this occasion, the dinner is free. So Friday the 13th, don't be scared. Please come back. Yes, Susan.
Well, please let us know.
But please let us know. RSVP is very much appreciated. Girls, will you help with the ark? We continue on the bottom of page 586 as we continue with Aleinu. Please rise. Aleinu neshabeach l'adon hakol לתת גדולה ליוצר ראשית שלא עשנו כמויי הרצות ולא שמענו כמשפחות האדמה שלא שם גלגנו כהם וקום עלינו ככל המונם ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים Page 588, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, מושב יקרו השמיים נמעם, ושכינתו זו בכל מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס סולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום להשבות אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים, בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת. Ein od 591 ונאמר Adonai למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו When I die, give what's left of me away to children and old men that wait to die. And if you need to cry, cry for your brother, your sister walking the street beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around anyone and give to them what you need to give to me. I want to leave you something better than words or sounds. Look for me in people I've known or loved. And if you cannot give me away, at least let me live on in your eyes and not in your mind. You can love me best by letting hands touch hands, by letting bodies touch bodies, and by letting go of children who need to be free. Love doesn't die. People do. So when all that's left of me is love, give me away. As is the custom of our congregation, should you choose to do so, should you feel comfortable doing so, we ask that as we call the name of a loved one, you rise so that the congregation may know that you are here in mourning and in memory. And then we will, as the tradition in most Reform synagogues, rise as a congregation as a whole when we reach the Kaddish, the mourner's Kaddish prayer itself. We remember at this time those of our congregation's beloved whose yahrzeit occurs on this Shabbat. Karen Anderson, Saul Arcus, Lillian Belfer, Dottie Belkin, Edward Belofsky, Joseph Cohn, Dora Friedman, Ann Goodman, Rudolph Gutman, Mark Herman, Harry Callis, Dr. Gary Kelman, Samuel Kreckstein, Jacob Kuznitsky, Edward Lichtenheim, Ann Feinberg-Light, Louis Mallon, Mame Meyerhoff, Stella Nathanson-Moses, Lois Phillips, Julia Ritter, Esther Sackerman, Richard Schnecker, thank you, Harry Schnee, Bernard Sless, Isaac Stein, Rose Sunstein, Ann Vassar, Benjamin Weiss, Beatrice Wolf. During this period of Shloshim, the 30 days following their deaths, David Singer, Michael D. Berg, Marshall Schweitzer, and Rona Simon. Are there any other names for Kaddish? Anyone here to say a name for somebody whose name I did not mention? The memories of all of our loved ones are with us. Our griefs and sympathies are mingled as we rise as a congregation and turn to Kaddish Yatom, the mourner's Kaddish, page 598. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei hara, v'alma tivrach yerutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chaye chon v'yomechon v'chaye tekol beit Yisrael, v'agala v'bizman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehei shmei rabba v'orach le'olam omei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei t'kudusha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechamata. Da'amirat ba'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Uyaseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol Yishmei Tevel v'imru. Amen. Amen. The source of peace, send peace to all who mourn in this congregation, and comfort all those who are bereaved and suffering the pain of loss everywhere, wherever they may be, in all congregations and all communities, everywhere and together. Let us say. Amen. We conclude, before we gather together for candles, Kiddush and Motzi, with Adon Olam, page 625. Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Le'et Nasa B'chefzo Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Ve'acharei Yichlot HaKol Levado Yimloch Nora Ve'hu Hayam Ve'hu Hoveh Ve'hu Yeh Betifara Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Le'et Nasa V'chefzo Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra V'acharei Tichlot HaKol לבדו ימלוך נורא, והוא היה והוא הווה, והוא יהיה בתפארה. אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא, לעת נשא בחפץ הכל, אזי מלך שמו נקרא. ואחרי ככלות הכל, לבדו ימלוך נורא, והוא היה והוא הווה, בתפארה, והוא היה והוא הווה, בתפארה. שבת שלום.